Well, good evening again, and welcome back to another reading of Hank the Cowdog, The Case of the Vampire Cat by John R. Erickson. Chapter 3, We Meet the Weirdest Cat You Ever Saw. Have I mentioned that Loper had taken a lease on the Hodges Ranch? Well, maybe not. But he had, and we were wintering a bunch of cows on it. It was a dandy place to winter cows because all the canyons and rough country gave them protection from the storms. But it wasn't such a dandy place to reach in a two-wheel drive pickup in the middle of a snowstorm. Once you left the blacktop highway up in the flats, you faced 9 miles of lonesome road without a single home to mark the way or give you the feeling that you could get help if you ever needed it. And there were spots in that long, lonesome road where a guy could get himself stuck. Now, Slim, he was pretty close, came pretty close on several occasions. The road was bad and getting worse. The road came to an end there at the little camp house where we got out. And Slim shut off the pickup and took a deep breath. Ooh, boy. I wasn't sure we were going to get here. We should have tried to make it down here using a 4-wheel drive. It's a good thing we got that camo stealth army truck down here. Let's see if we can give her a start. Well, we all piled out of the blue pickup and moved over to the camo stealth army truck. Now, what is a camo stealth army truck? None other than a 1953 Dodge 4x4 with big mud-grip tires all the way around and a 6-cylinder engine and a 4-speed transmission. It had a canvas top and was painted camouflage colors. That's where the camo part came in. The stealth part came in from, let's see if I can remember it. It's something that Slim told little Alfred. The old truck was so well camouflaged that it was invisible to enemy radar. That's what he said. And if you want to know who the enemy is and why they're using radar on the ranch, well, you'll just have to ask Slim. Actually, I think it was just a kind of a joke. Anyways, we hiked over to the camo stealth, which was parked on the west side of the camp house. As Slim climbed in under the wheel and called little Alfred over to watch. Now, pay attention, Button. I may get hurt down here one of these days, and you need to drive me to town. I want you to know how to start this thing, all right? The boy climbed up on the running board. Okay, Slim. First thing you do when you drive any vehicle is check the gas gauge. Only the gas gauge in this here truck doesn't work, so you have to run a shovel handle down into the tank. Here, I better show you. He got out and ran a shovel handle into the tank. He pulled it out, showed the little boy the wet mark. That means you got about 10 gallons of gas. He got back inside and went through a whole starting routine. Pull the gear shift into neutral, pull out the ignition switch, pull out the choke as far as it'll go, but don't press on the gas pedal, because this old thing will flood even if you say gas pedal. What does flood mean? It means the motor won't start because I really don't know why. Just do what I tell you, never mind the how come. It was then the cat appeared. Description: female, calico, medium weight, long hair, pink nose, long white cat whiskers, and a pair of eyes that were something between greenish and yellowish. They called her Mary the Cat. She crawled from underneath the house and came running up towards us. yowling. But now, most of the ranch cats will yowl every once in a while, not all the time. This one, once she started a yowl, she hung on to it, and it didn't quit. It was sort of it wasn't a short, simple meow. It was more like a meow. Well, Drover and I were standing there beside the camo stealth listening to Slim's lecture. The cat came bounding over to us, and right away I noticed that she didn't have much respect for a dog. I mean, most of your ranch cats will approach a dog with some caution. They should. Not only is it the proper thing to do and mannerly thing to do, but it is the smart thing to do. You see, some dogs don't need much of an excuse to thrash a cat. You might even say that they. You might even say that they consider pounding a cat as part of their job or even a form of sport. A good, clean, wholesome sport that all the family can enjoy. Oh, and for that reason, your smart cats, or put it another way, your less dumb cats, will not come bounding over to a dog they've never met before. And because of that, it's a really stupid thing to do and could get a cat into deep trouble. But this one, here she came, bounding straight towards us and yowling. A custom bread, bologna cheese, spare a morsel if you please. Marooned am I, oh hateful place, at last I found a friendly face. Well, that was very strange. She came right up to me, began rubbing on my leg, and yowling in my face. I guess you know how much I love to be rubbed on by cats. I don't. But there she was, all over me, just as though we were old friends. And we weren't. Not yet. Maybe. Never. A crust of bread, bologna cheese, spare a morsel if you please. I pushed her away. Kitty, I think there's been some... I don't have any cheese. No cheese. No bologna, no bread. And would you please stop rubbing on me? She went right on. Marooned am I, oh dreadful, hateful place. At last I found a friendly face. I backed up several feet to get away from her, fellers. This was a weird cat. I've been rubbed on by cats before, but nothing like this. I backed up to get away from her, but there she was again, rubbing and purring and yowling about cheese. Kitty, I'm sorry you've been marooned, and I guess you think you found a friendly face after all these years, but get back, will ya? I think you've made a slight error. I think you've mistaken my face. Will you stop rubbing on me? Cheese, just a little piece of cheese. I dream of cheese, you know, and bologna, and Vienna sausage. And, sir, you have such a friendly face. I just know you won't turn me away. I was baffled. I mean, what can you do with a cat that's half starved, half crazy, and trying to love you to death? You can't just beat her up and go on your business. I solved the problem by surrendering my spot. I ran to the other side of the army truck. I waited to see what Drover would do. When I left, Kitty didn't miss a beat. She moved right in on Drover and started the same routine about cheese and a friendly face. Drover wasted no time with niceties or small talk. He didn't know what was wrong with this cat, but he knew something was screwy, and he wasn't going to take any chances. You would have thought he was facing a python or boa constrictor or a ghost. Zoom! He vanished. Kitty had just lost another friendly face. Not one to be discouraged, she went straight to the camo stealth and jumped up in Slim's lap. He was deep into the lesson and starting the truck. Okay, you pull out the choker, let her sit for a minute, and then he pitched the cat away. Then you mashed down the starter. The cat was back in his lap with your foot like this. He pitched the cat back, pushed on the starter. It turned over with a growl. The cat jumped back in his lap. He pitched her again. The motor continued to turn, then it fired once. The cat back in his lap. Slim stopped what he was doing and looked down at her. She rubbed her ear across his chin, then flicked her tail over his nose. Now, Kitty, I know you love me, and I don't blame you because I'm wonderful. But you're fixin' to have a problem. I can't start this truck with your tail in my face. Now scram! He pitched her out, and 2 seconds later, she was right there. Button, would you get this love-crazed cat out of here? Because if you don't, I'll be forced to break her neck and break her heart. Now, little Alfred took charge of the cat problem, and right away I could see that he had just the right approach. He was holding her in a loving headlock, and he was dragging her around through the snow, and it worked. The cat went limp, and it worked. Didn't fight, didn't scratch, didn't struggle or make any kind of protest. Well, with the cat under control, Slim turned back to the problem of starting the truck, which sounded as though it didn't want to start. He hit the starter again, and the motor turned over until at last it kicked off. Now, I had the misfortune of standing near the exhaust pipe when the motor kicked off, and it may be years before I get all of that blue smoke out of my lungs. Boy, that was quite a cloud of smoke, and I decided to move my business around to the front. Slim revved up the motor, adjusted the choke, and told Alfred to get in without the cat. Then they pulled around to the cake house and started loading sacks of feed. I followed and heaved a sigh of relief. At last we were rid of the... You'll never guess who went streaking past me and straight for the cake house. I'll give you a hint. She was calico and weird. Yeah, it was the cat. Perhaps you know where I stand on the issue of letting cats pass me on the way to the cake house. I don't allow it. It sets a bad example, don't you see, and can lead to trouble later on. Cats should always be last. So I reached for the afterburners, and I hit full throttle and went streaking through the snow. And she beat me to the cake house. That was a pretty fast cat. And so ends chapter 3, but that does not end our calico Mary D. Cat. We're going to see a little more of her in chapter 4 of Hank the Cowdog, The Case of the Vampire Cat. Chapter 4 is The Kitty Lured into My Trap. Thank you for joining tonight. Say hello to everybody you can from a distance. Be kind, love one another, be safe, and do what you can to enjoy the weekend. Thank you for joining me. Bye.